Are we joining? Facebook is online, LinkedIn is online, and it looks like YouTube is online. Welcome all. John here, staff software engineer with 10 plus years of experience. I'm the lead maintainer of latterly.io, the website in front of us. Today is election night for the United States 2024 election. Either Trump or Kamala Harris is going to win. It could be the most important bug fix of our lifetime so far, which is dark mode. Look at this dark mode over here. You see the sub menu? Looking gross. So while y'all are talking about who's going to win votes and such, I'll be slanging features, bug fixes, and style improvements. Let's go fix this dark mode. And maybe we can add some additional element styling while we're at it. Maybe we'll change these white cards to pop into a dark background in dark mode. But fixing this bit right here is going to be the first part. That shouldn't be a dark text. Let's do this with cursor. Why not? VS Code is so 2 months ago. We don't want PowerShell. That's like 100 months ago. It's like 1,000 months ago. It's like Stone Age. So I'm in laterally. I'm making sure that I want to branch. I'll do git checkout -b. Better dark mode style. Let's go ahead and do a feature branch here. Let's attach it to a GitHub issue. So I'll scroll to the bottom, open up the GitHub, open source, go to the issues. Here I can see this issue. We'll fix both of these. So I'll tag it off at 399, comment here. Also fixing subnav dark mode ickiness. This one marked good first issue. You're welcome to join, and you can click good first issue and find some other issues that might be good for you to work on. I'm going to go ahead and take this one, marked P0. I think it's the only one marked P0. That is basically the next in queue for me to actually implement. So I'll grab 339, go over to cursor, then I'll prefix my branch with the 339, git checkout B, I'll git fetch origin main, and I'll spell main properly this time, git reset hard origin main, then I'll git push. I'll go ahead and stage the pull request, even though it's currently empty, because it's going to be equivalent to the tip of tree on main, so there will be no git diff currently, but I'll get the pull request ready. So here it is, and I'll just leave it in this state for now. We'll come back to that tab shortly. npm run dev in the laterally 3. No, I think we need to dive into the CD Blitz app. npm run dev over here. If you're not sure how to launch the app, I did a recent stream, but you can also just read the README. README right there. Check it out. There's a contributing as well if you want to know about some of the contributing guidelines, but the linter and stuff takes care of most of it. I'll control click localhost. We'll go ahead and eagerly open up DevTools. Here's the skeleton. That looks good. And so prod, localhost, prod, localhost. Let's replicate the issue. Here it is. Issue is replicated. Let's find the relevant component. I can search by this string, top honors leaderboard. That'll get me going in the right direction. Command Shift F V enter. Top nav right. So we're in the right direction, but this top nav right is implemented inside of the higher order top nav. And so I'm going to guess we want to fix it here. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Dark colon for dark mode. So dark mode is styled properly in this component. Then we can basically deduce that if it's not a problem with the whole top nav, it's just in this right section. So, oops, opened up VS Code, my bad. So let's dive back into this top nav right and speculate that it's over here. Now we'll see if cursor can fix it. We'll see if cursor can fix it. So I'll go over here. I'll look for the chat. Cursor open chat. Let's see. And I'll say, please. Saying please costs me nothing. Let's go ahead and say please. It doesn't really improve your prompt results. It's just like habit of when I talk to people. Improve the style for the top nav right such that the menu item text is a light color when dark mode is active. And I'm gonna actually not be surprised if it can't fix it, because cursor does not always contextualize itself properly. So we might need to go back and forth a bit. But let's try its initial suggestion and see how this works. So I will apply this. We can see it's adding dark colon here. Let's see if that works. Not sure. It's altering the top nav. I'm going to undo that. Top nav flex container. So it's looking in the top nav. File. Top nav flex container. Where's this located? Let's add context with the top nav right. And I'll say update top. Well, hold on. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt. I think this is wrong, but we'll guess and check. So we'll apply this. Top standard classes, control click, it pops me over there. Top nav standard classes, I'll replace that. Let's go see, maybe it's right. Got hot reloading, it reloaded, let's see. Whoa, and now I just can't see these items at all, eh? So it didn't change the drop down, it changed the ordinary item text, which is not what I want. Control Z, we'll undo that. Close this, don't save. I'm gonna come back over here, I'm gonna say, I think we want to restrict changes to the scope of top nav right. Or perhaps child components. So here's the top nav right section classes. Cool. This is a little closer to what I would have guessed. I'm still not sure that it's right, but it's closer to what I would have guessed. Nav item. So it's creating a new constant. That could be okay. Where is it applying this? Nav item classes is being applied to the link discretely. It's discretely applying it to all of the elements, blog, community, and so on. Let's see if that matches. No, those are looking good to me. I want it to apply to these. So where's Hall of Fame? Hall of Fame is not here. Hall of Fame. Top nav submenu. And here's the menu item standard classes. So I'm going to add to chat and say, JK bro, we should update top nav submenu. So I'll add that. The AI says, ah, yes. I'll apply this line and it pops it in there. I'll hit the green cursor, kind of overlaying the UI, not really beautiful to look at, but you can see there's a difference between a red, which will be reject, and a green, which will be to update it in place. There is a white circle by my file name, which indicates unsaved changes. So I'm gonna, even though I've accepted, I'll also put Control S to lock in the changes. We can see the command line cycled because it is being updated. And now they're invisible. They're invisible. So it did update the text, but it updated the wrong way. It updated the wrong way. I want the text light during dark mode. And I think that may have confused the tool. So we have dark : so we are changing it in dark mode, but we're changing it to the wrong color. Now it's picked a class name, which is laterally light purple 2, which intuitively using words, and that's how the AI tools work. Language models are going to operate based on naming and words. Intuitively, it seems like that would be a light color of text, but it's just not light enough. So it made a reasonable guess, but we're going to need to update that. So instead of using this, I could guess and check my own colors, but I want to be a little more sophisticated and pick a color that's going to match somewhere. So I could go for white. That would be perfectly reasonable. Or I could go for a light off-white. And so I'm going to inspect the background color of this element here. I think that will be on theme. So here I can see it's BG purple 300/20. So I will tell cursor, let's use during dark mode. I could have updated it myself. I don't know, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. It's not really clear that it saved me time in this case. But maybe it did. So let's go for that. And I'm still not getting the desired effect. I'm going to click over here. I'm going to just manually style it. And I can see the color is applied. This light laterally purple 2 is still being applied. So whatever cursor did, it did not use okay, I see. There were 2 dark : instances and it only updated one of them, which is not ideal. So I'll go over here to the get diff. This is another way you can see the diff. Oh, you know what? This is on me maybe. It looks like there's unsaved changes. Yeah, I accepted and forgot to save. That's on me maybe. Okay. Nope, it was both of us messed up. So I can see the get diff here. It changed a bunch of stuff in ways that I don't want. So I'm going to completely revert this change. But now I can add dark : the whatever it is that I said. And I think now we're basically on the right track. I'll grab this style. Okay, let's see how this did. Oh, that's changing the background, isn't it? Hold on. That's not smart of me. The BG prefix I should not be using. What is it? Text? I think it's text. Using this light gray, this off-white. Instead of BG for background, we're now going for text. Okay, so on hover, it looks good. It looks almost white, but it's actually a light gray, and I think that's cool. The problem is that the non-hover style is gross. Let me just close this chat completely. Hover text gray. Not sure how that got in there. Hover BG gray. 100. I don't know. Maybe I'll want to replace that as well, but we can see the issue is that this one should be the text. This is still showing a difference, which I don't expect. BG gray. Okay, now it's updated correctly. So the only difference now is this end class. And I think that's what I want. Let's go see. Okay. On hover, the background is white, which is undesirable. On hover, the background is this light color, which is undesirable. So I need this to be not the case. So here I'll use a inline should not occur during dark mode. Okay, so let's see if it will predict No, it's not predicting. Okay, let me use the Control K. And I'll just paste it there. Reject this, it just wants to update my comment. Okay, fine. Let me cover this line. Use the same instruction on this line now. So what it's added is BG hover transparent. Yeah, that seems reasonable. That seems reasonable. Accepting isn't quite working. Okay, fine. So I will copy the new line and I'll apply it manually. So when I hover, the background will be transparent. Let me inspect these classes. Is anything changing at all? I don't really see anything changing at all, huh? Text purple 3. So this thing is not light enough. Let's go the gray 100, the super light gray. Let's use that for the text. Gray 100. Okay. And I think it seems good, eh? What do you think? Are my eyes playing tricks on me, or does this look pretty good? So light mode, and we have the hover square there. I think I would like something like it, just not that white color. So now we come to dark mode. That light purple that I was playing with, let's bring it back. Okay, so it's this one. Control C, Command Shift Z to restore. So this is all looking good. But instead of hover BG transparent, we'll do hover this lighter purple for the background, not for the text. Cool, I think that's what we want, chat. I think we're good on that. So I'll commit this independently. This is the fix subnav dark mode style, the most important commit of our lifetime so far. And now we're on to the most important commit of our lifetime now. Because you know the last one is done, so now it's the new most important one of our lifetime, right? That's how that works, right? Would you like the cursor to periodically run fetch? No, I don't. I'll do that myself, thanks. I'll come over here to the pull request, refresh the page, create the pull request at this point. I'll create it in a draft mode. So now I can see the Vercel build is kicking off. That'll make sure that the build is working. And we'll have a preview environment. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and proceed to work on 2 more additional items. We'll work on some of these cards, and then we'll work on the main task of the issue. And here I'll edit the description to say closes hash 339, which is easy to remember because it's there in my branch name in the blue. Click that, update. We can see that GitHub is going to link that for me. So we're linking back to this issue. And this is the main task under the issue. These circles are inconsistent on tablet width, okay? So here, the circles are looking good. Laterally helps you 1, 2, 3. By the way, it does, and you can sign up for free. Go check it out, laterally.io. You can also join the Discord. The subnav looks gross in prod. Here's the production environment. We'll fix it. That'll be fixed today. And you'll be able to access the Discord. You can also go to the YouTube video description currently and go ahead and get a quick link to the Discord invite. Okay. So we want to fix these on tablet width. So on desktop width, currently it looks good. If we go over to mobile view, I think it also looks good. But what if I go out of mobile view and I go to this tablet width? This is when it looks gross. So this is the problem case. We've replicated the issue. Let's proceed to fix. So I think there's a couple ways to fix this. One is that I can notice that the first item looks good. And I believe that's because the text width here is less, and therefore the circle is not compressed. So I can replicate the width here to the lower items, and I would expect consistency. That's one option. The other is that I can force the width of the circle, because currently it's flexing, so it'll get squished and unsquished. The alternative is that I can just force it statically so that it no longer flexes, and they're always the one width, regardless of the right-hand item width. So I think we have two different options. First, I'll play around in this styles region in the DevTools. I'll get it working, and then we'll bring it over to the code. So first, let's just see if either of these hypotheses sort of works. I'll go for the static. First, either we're fixing the text width or we're fixing the item width. So in either case, fixing the width is going to be a solution. I am partial to fixing the width on these circles because I think it's more future-proof. So in the future, I might change the text, which might alter the ideal width. So I think if we're going to need to fix one of them and let the other flex, I think it's better to let the text flex. Does that justification seem reasonable to you? Not a big deal. In a real-world commercial application, if someone submitted me a pull request, I'd be friendly to either option. But in terms of just picking between the two, I'll start with that one. So here I can see MR, which is the margin. Okay, so the margin is already fixed, but there's no fixing on the width. There's not a width style here. I'm going to copy this. I'll go to the computed width to figure out what it is. 32 pixels on the 1, and then let's come over to the 2. So we can see that this 2 item has a width of 17 point something. It's getting flexed down. So let's try to force it to 32. Width, 32 pix. That doesn't automatically fix the issue. So you can see why we were playing here to validate our theory about the fix before we go code it. Because if I went and coded it, that wouldn't have fixed it. So my guess was off. So let's see what else we can do. So the width here is 32. What about the height? So I'm hovering over the element and the style isn't applied. The style is not applied. So what's the issue? I can turn off flex. That makes a bunch of issues, but you can see the circles are the same size if I turn off flex. So the issue is related to the flexing on here. So what if I make this singular element not a flex? So what if I say display block? Still doesn't resolve the issue. Still doesn't resolve the issue. It's still getting squished. And that is because the parent item is a flex, I think. So if I take the flex off the parent item, now it's a decent circle. And so should I be treating these two as inline blocks instead of flex items? That's an option here. But I do want the right hand to flex, just not the left hand. Okay, let's go to a language model. ChatGPT. I'll use the snippet tool. Let me exempt the product hunt. That's kind of like unrelated to the issue. I'll just grab these. So I'll copy this, I'll close it. I'll go over to chat 4 where I can upload this image and I'll say, this list uses flex styling, but I would like the circular divs to retain a fixed width so that they remain circular instead of becoming oval shape, which currently happens when the text is wide on the right hand element. Okay, I could add additional information, but we'll do a chain of thought so that I only give it a little bit of context now and additional context as we go, instead of trying to give it too much at once. So it's also suggesting that I use flex with a fixed width. Okay, I didn't think about that. So we can try that. And I will also give it the text, the code for this whole block. Let's see, did I include the laterally helps you bit? No, I just did the list items. Okay, so this is an OL. I'll right click, edit as HTML, Command A, C. And let me purge the product hunt bit, which is irrelevant, even though it's within the OL. So here I'll come down to this last one and delete it. Edit as HTML, copy this on my clipboard, get this HTML on my clipboard. And I will say here is the legacy code. I'll say HTML, tag it, and say, notice we are using Tailwind CSS. Update the recommendation accordingly. So I've given it a bit more context now. Now you know I'm using Tailwind. So it gave me some advice using vanilla HTML and CSS, which seemed fair, but transposing that onto the current structure is too different. It's too different. And so here I'm asking it to use Tailwind. And so we'll see. We'll copy this, come over here, and I will straight swap it in. Did it include the OL or just the content of the OL? It includes the OL itself. Edit a V, enter. Click over here. And no, that has not solved the oval problem. So I will simply say, this doesn't solve the oval shape problem. The circular list number is getting squished in small flex regions. You can use basically forcing the width and height. Perfect. And this is similar to this idea, but using Tailwind when it uses this syntax. And so this is starting to look a lot like what I want. So I'll copy this, edit, I'll drop it in. This might not work. Yeah, it doesn't work. Did the width get in there at all? It did. Okay. This doesn't work in part because whenever I add Tailwind, I need to actually update my JavaScript because these Tailwind styles are generated just in time. So if I come over here and I look in the styles, the min W2 rim is not actually applied anywhere over here. Do you see that? Don, welcome in. Welcome in, Don. So here it's talking about W8, but the min is not applied. And that's exactly what I need. I do need a minimum width so that when you're squishing me, you can squish me, but don't squish past this minimum. That's going to be exactly the right solution. I can sort of emulate this. The real solution is I'm going to go update my code momentarily. But I think I can sort of emulate this idea by forcing a min width right here. So earlier I was trying to style the width. Now I'm styling the minimum width. And that is the insight that ChatGPT has generated that I didn't think about. Don says, the thinking top left glance. It's me. Guilty. Guilty, guilty. Okay. So this solution seems good. In fact, I'm not going to copy the entire solution presented. I'm going to try to just grab one or two of these styles to keep the differences minimal. So now that we've basically zeroed in on a candidate solution that seems to work, I'm going to grab this style just because it seems like a unique style. In fact, what would be more unique is the product hunt badge, right? So I'm going to grab this alt text simply as a string that I can then take to cursor and I can search across files for this string. I guess that string is somehow concatenated, so it doesn't quite work. Okay, here's a few candidates. I know that I'm looking for a TSX file. These React components are TSX. Don says, thank Chrome DevTools for helping us with CSS. God bless Chrome DevTools. Okay, so here is the meta description, and you can see why grabbing the whole thing didn't work because it's sort of combined, isn't it? But I'm in what seems to be about the right layout. Product hunt? No, okay, this is a wrong place. I guess that string was repeated in some different places. Interesting. Okay, so somehow this alt text is coming from somewhere else. I don't know where that's coming from. Let me grab the product hunt. Just the word product hunt, I think, will be still help me get to the right location. Product hunt, homepage content, TSX. Right click, close the others so we can focus on this. Okay, this is the right area. Oh, interesting. So the alt text that I was using has some encoded characters. That could be its own issue potentially. So they're HTML encoded, so when they render well. But I might want to see if they render just as well without that. Let's see that. So latterly.io with a literal dot. And I can also use foo just to prove that I'm updating the text. So foo. So this page is reloaded, and now I see, let's inspect this product thing, and now it says foo. Do you see the image tag here saying foo? Don says, I find Claude is better at front-end dev. So in cursor here, I have hooked up Claude. If I go to the chat, angle, cursor, open chat, you can see I'm using Claude 3.5 Sonnet. It's helpful in some cases, but if you see earlier in the stream, it got like a few things wrong. It's okay. They both work fairly well. They work well for my purposes. And the reason, again, I know, Don, you're just joining, but the reason that I used 4.0 here was so that I could paste in the image, which I can do if I go over to the Claude Anthropic website, but I can't do that with the Claude inside of Cursor today. Maybe they'll add it in the future. That would be cool. So changing it to a literal dot seems to have worked. So I prefer that. So let's try to do similarly for these other items. Land your, that's going to be a literal space. Next. Programming, we're changing these encoded spaces to literal spaces. Programming role. 1, 2, 3, space, dash, space. And then I'll get rid of the foo. And let's reinspect the product hunt tag. And it looks good. It looks good to me. Can you use your own inference endpoint with the Copilot software? Maybe. I'm not sure. Okay, so that's looking good. But the main thing we wanted to try was the min width, right? The minimum width setting. So let's grab this one Tailwind style, extract only the bit we need. And I want to apply it to these list items, 1, 2, 3. So 1, and notice that on save, it moved the location of the style, and that's good. So that's using the prettier extension with the Tailwind plugin there. There's also a Tailwind IntelliSense, so let's install that as well. Let's install that as well. And you can see now I have this color tag that pops, giving me a preview. That's coming from the Tailwind plugin, giving me a preview of the color that's represented here. Love that plugin. I got the BG purple over here. Love it. So we have on the 1 and then on the 2. Oh, no, that's the wrong area. Sorry about that. That's the word learn to code. We don't want to add it to the text. We want to add it to the numbers. 1, here's the 2. And then here is the 3rd. Okay, and I'm getting rid of some of the extra spaces, and then I'm saving, and it's moving them around appropriately. I can see the terminal cycled, so the render should have kicked off with hot reloading. And we look good. We look good, chat. We look good. So we fixed it. We just completed the second most important code commit of our lifetime so far. 2 of them in the course of 30 minutes. We're cooking. So I'll come over here and I will type this as style better list item circle Yeah, better list item circles. That's fine. Commit that, push that. Okay, let's check in on the pull request. So by now we see the green check on the prior version and we're kicking off the new version. Good. I will do one more, so we'll get a little more dark mode going. And then we'll be done. So here I'm toggling light and dark. I can see the nav bar pop as well as that product hunt badge pop. Hi. Let's pop the recommended next steps card as well. It would be sort of strange to do that one and not do the others in the local region. So maybe we try to go for these 3. So why users love us. Okay. So here I'm going to take this testimonial block. Looking in here. And let's add a class name. Class name in dark mode, I will say BG dash purple. It's predicting 320. Let's see how that looks. And you can see it does this light shading over here, which I think is not dark enough personally. I want to get it to match the nav bar. So let's go look at that top nav. I don't know where that file came from. That was weird. Top nav within the page wrapper. Yeah. So we have BG laterally light purple. All right, we can guess this one. Let's go for that. And that is a darker one. It's still not what I was looking for. I guess I grabbed the wrong one. So in the top nav, Control F, BG dash. What are my options? The light. Oh yeah, dark. Okay, dark mode, dark purple. That makes more sense, eh? And I can go ahead and rip the text as well while we're at it. So we'll just be copying this block. In fact, it might be useful to extract that since we're going to be copying that block. Where could I put it if I pull it out? So I could go theme, utils. So under theme, I'll make a new theme utils file. So here on the file view, I'll right click, new file, theme utils.ts. This is not TSX because it's currently anyway just going to have, and you can see I can basically tab and fix it. So that's a cursor function. Dark mode standard classes. That's a fair enough name. So then I'll come back over here, delete that, and I'll replace it with dark mode standard classes. We'll interpolate that, and then I will tab, because when you interpolate it into a double quoted string, that's an improper interpolation. Don says good night. See you, Don. So Cursor was able to fix it into a proper interpolation, and you can see now it's suggesting one more tab to import. Boom, love it. So the tab functionality, when I think about Cursor functionalities, a lot of people want to go to the AI chat, but I think if you've seen demonstrated here, bringing up the Cursor chat is like one of the least valuable tools, in my view, currently in Cursor. The tab, as well as the Control K, are some of the super tools. Also, when you're starting a new app, the Composer is really nice, but I found that later on, it's not as nice. Anyway, that's been my experience. So this imported it. We're looking good. We'll do a regression test momentarily. I'll also come over to the homepage content. We will swap this out, and you can see it's already predicting. So I'll go for that. Dark mode standard classes. Good. Now, it doesn't look good, but it's doing what I want. It's doing what I want. Notably, the text is not lightened as I expect. We are passing a regression check, so that's good. Why is the text not lightened here? So we're applying the style to the div, but you can see the p tag is where that text is defined. So if I drop the text here, now it looks basically what I want, although what we're seeing is that I want to elevate that style up a level to this div rather than this interior div. Okay, so we're making forward progress. So here I'm going to drop this off of the p tag and put it onto the div. And does that resolve? Yeah. So now if I refresh, light mode looks good, dark mode is looking better, right? It's not done, but it's looking better. And that's because the darker colored text, which exists in light mode, is no longer applied at the paragraph level in the interior. If so, it would be prioritized. With CSS and HTML, you can envision a layer of paper sheets. Cascading style sheets is what CSS means. So you can envision a layer of sheets. So the innermost layer is going to be prioritized in the style hierarchy, what's actually rendered for view. So by flattening that style so that the light and dark mode exist both at the div level, now the toggle is equally prioritized. So the paragraph is not stomping on the div style. Did that make sense? So this is looking good with one more change that I want to bring it up a level. I want to bring it up a level. So I have Control F. This testimonial block we can see is wrapped with yet another div. And I'd actually like to get rid of the style here. Do I want to get rid? But the reason it's here is intentional. You can see it's shared across these. Is shared across these. So this here, I'll cut it. This will be a simple div inside. And then these blocks will be getting changed. And you can see what's predicted here. I'm not sure if it's good, but we'll give it a try. No, that's not looking so good. The next steps card. Let's copy that, Control Shift F. Let's go find this next steps card. You can see this syntax is coming off of styles. That's a style module. And so that's actually referring to this CSS over here. So the next steps card is handling width and margin. So it's not handling color. So that's good. So we can co-locate these, and that's not going to hurt us. So I'll retain the interpolation. The rounded LG, we're going to retain that. Even the shadow and the P6, I think we want to retain all of it. The background white is the only one that we may not want to retain. And so that should be able to be handled just like this. So BG white is a less important class from the perspective of CSS importance. Because dark mode has dark colon, it's applying another level of CSS specification. So if you're not familiar with how CSS rules are prioritized, you can check out CSS specificity. Basically, there's almost like a point system where the number of classes used adds up and the highest value wins. And so because dark mode has an extra dark class, it will always beat light mode when it's active. That's why this works. That's why this works. So here, you can look on my HTML, class is light, and so that background white is winning. I didn't have to remove the background white. And then you might say, well, now when I add the dark mode, background white is here. Why is background white no longer applied? And the answer is the background laterally dark purple 2 will win because it has this extra dark specifier, this extra dark class. And so it has more points and it ends up winning without needing to mutate the code, which is a really nice result. I can't totally claim that was intended, but it keeps it pretty clean, doesn't it? And so now we have 3 elements popping. Let's check mobile. I think it looks fine on mobile. Maybe the Y users love us is it pops less by comparison in dark mode, but I think it's okay. I think we can live with it. So let's take this same pattern, which involved minimal code change, thankfully. We'll take this same pattern and go apply it to these others. And I'm noticing that we can extract some stuff here. So the padding is going to be the same. P6. Let's just see if cursor can guess. Okay, so cursor's guessing. And hopefully it's using these examples. So we have recommended next steps. We have the testimonials. I'll collapse this section. And then, so here's one section, the next section. Each section is related to a card. Oh no, that's not quite true, is it? Interesting. The div is the card inside of the section. So I'll click this div, and you see how one of the vertical lines is brighter white. That's going to show me visually where that one ends. And so now I can pick up this next one, and look, cursor is already predicting the text gray and the dark standard classes. Now, I don't really want this text gray, do I? Or maybe I do. So let's check. Is that going to be consistent through the three? How many locations? 1, 2, 3. So that will be consistent on all three. I could go for that. Let's see. Let's see how it looks. So we notice this text is bolder. And I think that's okay. I wanted the recommended next steps to stand out a bit more. So that's an intentional difference. And then here, the bright pink pops either way, which is nice. But we can see that my bolder exception one is also darker. So let's go grab a reference to that bit, and we'll need to do a little bit of extra work. Here it is. It's using the text gray 800. And so here, maybe I can specify light colon. So that should only apply in light mode case. Okay, and that worked so that the rule is purged during dark mode. So it looks good here in light mode, and then in dark mode it's purged. The problem is when it's purged, you can see the text is white, which is not exactly what I want. I want that text to be the off gray. Or do I? So it pops more, and again, maybe that's intentional. What happens if I just remove this rule? What happens in that case? Now I think it's calculated as gray. So let's check this text. We're no longer specifying a class on the H2 here. So let's go to computed and we go to color for the text. And it's just a straight white. 255 by 3 is a straight white. And that's not what I want. Okay, what about the H2 text here? This is also calculated as a straight white, which is not what I want. I want the text color declared up here to cascade down, and it's not flowing through. And I think that's because it's a heading rather than a paragraph. So where is this color coming from? It's coming from this rule, which specifically says text white. So do I have the vernacular text white? No. I think it's because these headings are like automatically white according to Tailwind in dark mode. That's a bit of a guess. But otherwise, I'm not sure why this text gray is not flowing through. Okay, so, and what if I change it to a paragraph? I'm guessing it will turn that grayish color. No? Oh, because the text XL, that's what's doing it. What if I get rid of the text L? If I get rid of that stuff, now it is the grayish color. Okay, so it's not automatically because it's a heading, it's due to this text L style. It has a white built into it. Okay. Then I can choose to explicitly stomp on it or let it organically pop to white. Chat, do you have an opinion? It doesn't bug me too much that it's white, to be honest with you. It makes it pop a bit more, and I think I like that. So I'm going to let it be. From a code perspective, it's simpler. I'm going to eliminate this class, and the text L will flow through. I can actually extract this text L, I think. And that will be even simpler. So here I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instances of the text L. And what about the small text XL? It's only applied to next steps. Let's see how this looks. So I guess on mobile, there's a bit of a text difference there, is it? Yeah. So on mobile, recommended next steps specifically is shrunk. Oh no, it's enlarged rather. Off of mobile. It's enlarged off of mobile. Yeah, so it seems I think I did that intentionally to make it pop even more. And I think I want to keep that. This down here should not be considered a subheading, by the way. That should definitely be a paragraph. Okay. So if I want things to be simpler, why not have them be XL in both cases? So here, let me change this to a P. Adjust the end tag to match. And then let's toy around with the idea of letting recommended next steps be enlarged also on mobile. Is it a word wrapping issue? Maybe that's why I did it. So here, what if you're also XL? Then it wraps. So I think that's the reason I did it. And there's like a vertical real estate reasoning there, right? But it's not making a fold-wise difference. So I can imagine that before I created this testimonial, why users love us, before I created that, then above the fold, it would have said recommended next. See, it says recommended next steps pretty clearly. I actually kind of like that it wraps. It's even more eye-catching. And I'm not too concerned about the vertical real estate in this case because it's not making a fold-wise difference. So when you first load your, oh, okay, I'm looking on my screen. Maybe looking on a phone would make a difference. Let me pull it up on my phone. The fold is what you can see when the screen loads right away. And so from a design perspective, it would be nice to see recommended next steps, like all above the fold. But I'm not able to see that on the mobile phone anyway. Can you see that? It might be the case that before I created that Why Users Love Us section, then you used to be able to see recommended next steps above the fold, but now it's not making a difference. So I'm happy to nix that. Now there is an inconsistency between the recommended next steps approach and the Why Users Love Us. So let's consider putting the Why Users Love Us into the card. Let's consider this. How much does this mess up everything? I'm going to comment this code instead of moving it so that I can easily revert. And I'm going to copy the recommended next step style. So I'm going to keep it all XL, a little simpler. right? Then I'm going to grab this heading, and let's see if this looks better, worse, about the same. Well, now it says recommended next steps. I'd like it to say why users love us. So we're making the card design more consistent here is the idea. And this is not a big deal, but maybe it's nice. Okay, so what do you think? Why users love us, and then recommended next steps. I think it's pretty good compared to the situation where we had that dangling why users love us. I think this looks better. Dub in the chat if you agree. Cool. All right, so I'll keep this the most important subheading change of our lifetime so far because it's the current one. That's the reason it's so important. All the other stuff is done. It's old news. Okay, so now we have the XL here, and I can extract this so that we don't repeat ourselves, and I'll say dark mode standard classes, no. I'll call this home page card subheading. Okay? And it fixed the syntax there slightly. And then I'll come way up to the top where I declare my constants. And I'll put it in alphabetical order. And there you go. So now this is more reusable and more consistent, which we love to see. In fact, you could extract the whole H2 as a homepage card subheading. Yeah, let's do that. Homepage card, we'll call this, so now it'll be a component, so we'll use homepage card subheading. And that will be a small functional component which makes an H2. Cursor is telling me that it's going to have children, exactly how I want, and then the MB2 text XL font bold, all well predicted. So you see how it's saving me time? And again, that's that tab functionality. I'm not having to go do a chat. Okay, so I come back where I was using the class, and boom, cursor is helping me predict that. Now I have this homepage card subheading. And then in this other place where I wanted to use, this is the recommended next steps. The other place where I wanted to use it was why users love us. Boom, and it goes right there. Okay? I think that looks good from a code perspective. Let's make sure it looks good visually. Doing a quick regression check on the nav, that looks good as well. Maybe those should be white, I don't know. Let me know if you have a strong opinion. I was thinking the sub nav should be less emphasized than the main nav, but I could be persuaded either way. All right. And now I can extract these text L's, 1, 2. So let me try to, let's actually commit these in two different moves, okay? So the move here will be feature homepage card subheading. So that's a discrete component. You could put it into its own file, but I don't care because it's only used here. I'll push that. Top nav, we have these dark mode standard classes, so I will commit that as well. And you could do a style or a feature commit. You know, I'll go for style. This is following conventional commit. Conventional commits is a pattern for how to declare your commit messages. You can check out conventional commits. Okay, it's the most important commit syntax of our lifetime so far. Good. And now what I'd like to do is just move these text L up a bit. So I'm cutting this, and let's delete them first of all so we can notice the change very obviously. And there's also the font bold, so maybe I should move them both up. Yeah, we'll move the text L and the font bold both. which completely gets rid of okay, I know what's going on. No, I think they do need to be individually applied. Let's see. I think the reason is because these link styles have a different inbuilt style. So text L and font bold is already being applied on the paragraph. So it should cascade down to complete the, but I guess the link is stomping on it. So let's just look at the standard checklist, and it will no longer be bold, is I guess the issue. Standard checklist, font weight is the CSS name for bold. So it's font weight 700, and let's compare this span over here. Well, they're both 700, so the bold did cascade down. Complete the standard checklist. So I guess there will be no visual difference. Complete the standard checklist. There's no visual difference. So if I go to the link then, and I delete this font bold and text XL, let's watch the words standard checklist carefully whenever I push enter, and I guess it won't change. Yeah, it didn't change at all. Okay, so I don't need to move the styles up. I just have some extraneous classes. So it's still a win for making the code simpler. So I can get rid of this text L font bold on the links. And let's see if the same is true for the span. Okay, so complete the standard checklist. It doesn't change at all. Okay, cool. Cool, cool, cool. So then I don't need the span at all. I don't need the span at all. So simpler code. Complete the standard checklist, consider one of the paid pans below, and book an expert session. I think it looks good, chat. What about you? Let's check it on mobile. Looks good to me. Optionally, the mobile menu, I don't have dark mode working in the mobile menu, but I think we'll wrap it there. So under an hour, and then I'll push that up, and that'll be in prod in less than like 20 minutes. So in under an hour, we've completed 3 of the most important commits, feature changes, bug fixes, style improvements of our lifetime. Compare that to